Hey everybody, my name's Ferrell and welcome back to the United Kingdom where I make stuff for fun and for Ken. I'm working on the MojoDojo Casa House for Ken and his friends, and we're using the LOL OMG house as inspiration. Today we're looking at the roof garden and I'm going to show you how I created this working fire that turns into a bird bath. I need a name for the duck. What should his name be? We've named the mouse Pico, thanks to Susie. And so I'm just going to show you the basics around this. So I took some trash plastic. This has a ridge in it, so I can fit the light underneath. And I'm going to cut the plastic down to size to fit just over the light. Now, everything I do is on the fly, so I work with what I've got, but this is just an idea, give you a kicking off point. So what you'll need is some trash plastic, some mirrored film. This is actually clear on the other side, so the light will pass through it. One of these balloon lights that are fairly cheap to get online, and some bubble wrap and a hot glue gun, just to start you off. So I'm going to cut the bubble wrap into long triangles, because this will then form the flames. Now I'm going to fold this in half and glue along the seam. Be careful because hot glue is very hot, as I did find out several times. And once it's together, I can twist it, and this creates a flame shape. Now you can put hot glue as ridges up the side of this to make it stronger, which will make sense later on, because what I'm going to do is once these are formed is I'm going to use some acrylic marker pens to colour it, and then go over all of the flames with UV resin that I've put some mica powder into to give it a layered flame effect. Later on I'll go in with watercolour paints just to dip over some of the areas to create a kind of smoke blackened effect. And what I don't explain here is that once all of these triangles have been glued on top of the light, I can then put chopsticks that I've cut down into smaller pieces around the light, which then creates the effect of it being a wood campfire. So as you'll see, if the camera was up the right way, that the light now reflects off of the film, but it also passes through and creates a much more rounded light rather than a direct light to the side. The reason it's on the side is so that we can turn it off and on without having to turn it on from underneath. You'll see why later. So I'm going to create a surround for the fire. I know what height I'd like it to be, but at this stage I still don't know how wide I want it to be. So I'm going to initially cut the height down. I do genuinely recommend getting a good quality craft knife. I think this one's actually meant to be for cutting carpet, but it came with a lot of blades, and it's with the dial on the side, it acts as a really good support for the hand. But also getting a metal ruler. I'm in the UK, so I got mine from Poundland, but I'm sure you can find them wherever you are. And the metal ruler is great because with cutting so much with these knives, if it was to be plastic, I'd be taking off some of the edge. So having this metal ruler really makes it so that you've got a bit of weight on whatever you're cutting, but you're also going to get a nice clean cut without taking any of the edges of the ruler away. And yes, I'm using a cutting mat underneath. They're very readily available. So with this is the initial mould that I used to pour the resin for the bird bath, which is on the underside of the fire. And so I'm measuring the circumference of the card to go around whatever it is that I'm going to be making. I do actually make this a lot smaller There is a limited amount of space in this roof garden, so yeah, I didn't want it to take up so much floor space. So I'm going to mix up some epoxy resin, which is 2-part resin, and I'm putting some blue mica powder into that. It's shimmery as well, you'll see that shortly. But yeah, it's just an equal part of the resin and the hardener, and I just wanted to create a water effect by having 2 shades of the mica and not mixing them together completely, which I think looks really nice. It's got a good shimmer to it. When I remade this, I added some very fine holographic glitter into it, which I think makes it look really pretty. But you know, I've mentioned before, sometimes you've got to try things out and then redo it if it doesn't work the way that you want. So that's exactly what I had to do with this. But what I have now is a bunch of blue hard resin that I can put into other molds to take up some space if I want to make something else. So, you know, it all works out in the end, right? And here is the finished result. As you can see, it's nice and shimmery. Like I say, in the finished result, I did actually put some holographic glitter to make it look a bit more, I don't know, like it fits in the United Kingdom. And for the surround of the fire and the bird bath, I've taken some felt and a stencil and just spray painted over the top of that. Here is a glimpse of how it looks. I'll show it working later. We need some garden pots for this roof garden, so I'm going to take some air dry clay and make some coiled pots, which are very simple. Just roll the clay into long pieces and coil them up, but also take these medicine pots and cover them in double-sided tape and use some twine or cord to create a kind of woven look of a garden pot. And I took another one of these medicine pots and covered it in paint and baking powder, which makes for a thicker coverage, and put some cement style dots onto it. And I think you'll agree, you know, I'm still learning and they don't look too shabby. At the end of this process, I will do a finishing touches video where anything that I don't like, I will redo or fix things that I don't like on them. But that was actually inspired by something that Ginger Lola does. She also creates things in 1/6 scale, and she does a project and then later on she puts any finishing touches on, which I just think is a great idea because it allows everything to keep moving. I can try and upload a video every week. So I actually went to Queen City Mini's video on YouTube as well as My Froggy Stuff, and just got some ideas on how to put together some doll-sized plants. I'm just using paint markers to create some palms. I covered these in parcel tape after to make them shiny, but I'm not convinced that they look great. But for the time being, you know, just to keep things moving along, they serve a purpose. And ideally, I just want you guys to have some fresh ideas on how to put things together, reuse what you've already got. On the back of these palms, to strengthen them, ready for when I cut them out from the paper, I put a strip of masking tape along the center of those palm leaves. Again, I am still learning how to create and film and edit and do all those things. I'm not going to teach you how to put together a wooden box ready to make a planter. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I filled it with foil and hot glue, covered it in brown paint and tea leaves to make it look like soil, and therefore we have some planters to be able to put some tiny flowers in. And here I am creating the cement look. I'm using the pinks and blues to tie in with the rest of the colours of the house. In the United Kingdom, it's seldom that you will see just black and white or just grey. So, yeah, no, I'm keeping it in keeping with the theme of where they live. And as I mentioned earlier, My Froggy Stuff and Queen City Minis do have videos on how to create These plants, essentially, they are leaves drawn onto paper, cut out along the shape of the leaves, but left with a strip along the bottom. You can roll them up and then create little bundles of plants. The more detailed flowers are actually on Queen City Minis video. I'm just using some alcohol inks and a paintbrush with some water to be able to paint the edges of these tissue paper flowers to give them a more realistic look. You know, all flowers are not one matte colour. They do tend to have variance, so that's what I'm doing here. In the future, I would love to do a video where I go through other people's channels and see how they've made things and attempt it myself. Here is the spit roast. I did use a plastic coat hanger and a flame to be able to bend this, so please be careful. But here's the idea of it, right? In the United Kingdom, what do the Kens eat? Now, in my head, they don't eat meat. So what's the most sensible thing for them to have on their spit roast? Yes, of course, it's candy floss or cotton candy, depending on where you are. And I use the colours that are in the Barbie movie when Ken transforms into his I Am Kenough hoodie as my inspiration to be able to create this. So I'm just using some mica powders and a makeup brush. I'm quite excited about using this. You do see me make a mistake, which is quite funny. In my head I was thinking, please don't knock this over, because I'm doing this on my lap in my 1-bedroom flat. And I think you'll agree, it does look pretty, it looks nice, but you wait till you see what happens. So I'm going to build up the colours, the neon colours that are in Ken's I Am Kenough hoodie onto this cotton candy, and later on I do actually spray it with a very, very light layer of a sealant just to be able to keep it in place. And there is a touch of glitter in it as well. I wanted to add some magic, you know. And I think you'll agree, when you see it all together, it looks really cute. So here it is. This is the first demo of me using the candy floss on top of the fire pit. It's slightly too tall, but you know, trial and error. And here is the whole thing put together so far. I will go back in at the end, create some more realistic plants. Like I say, follow other people's tutorials. The roses look great. I'm really happy with them, even if there is soil on the floor. And yeah. It's great. I'm loving this whole project. It's lovely to have so many nice comments as well. And we need to name that ducky. What is its name? Essentially, you just take the fire off, turn it upside down, and the resin bird bath is underneath. Thank you so much for coming along on this journey with me. Please leave a like, comment, share the video, and subscribe. And I will see you next time. Laters.